Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapade Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 12th of May 2025. I want to offer my Anantakoti Namaskara prostrations to all the great sages, saints, devotees, bhaktas throughout the world. All beings who are having God in their heart. Everyone has God in their heart. And to all the great enlightened masters of the past, in the present, and yet to come in the future. With that prarthana and bhavana, we are continuing to examine verse number 62 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and to unravel verses 62 and 63 with certain amount of depth will help us all to further reach that state of viveka, which is very rare in life. If we can reach that stage of viveka, meaning the discrimination between the real and the unreal. Discrimination doesn't mean racial discrimination. It means to discriminate, means to separate out between that which is real and unreal, true and not true, ephemeral and permanent, right? So that is the basic goal here. So let's look at this verse again, and we're going to be looking at specifically this sangas teshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bijayate. Let's try to go into that a bit further. So the verse is as follows: dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangas teshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bijayate. So this verse, you can see here in the writing below here, it's very, very, very nicely written here. This verse is a precise psychological map of emotional entanglement. Bhagavan Krishna delineates the progressive degradation of the intellect and the will due to unguarded mental fixation. It is a sequential unraveling, thought, then from thought to attachment, attachment to desire, desire to anger, anger to delusion, delusion to loss of reason. Buddhi nashat pranashati. That's the next verse. So in yoga psychology, such a chain reaction is called klesha vritti. So this is a technical term from yoga psychology. It is called klesh vritti, or the afflictive modifications of consciousness. Each of the stages of this sequence represent a departure from viveka, which is exactly what we are trying to reach. We want to reach viveka, and this is a departure from viveka. And the gradual takeover of avidya, ignorance, raga, craving, dvesha, aversion, all foundational causes of dukkha. Why we suffer? Because of these three reasons: avidya, raga, and dvesha. The verse is not merely didactic, it is diagnostic. It explains how mental fixation becomes existential bondage. I'm going to go through all this language in just a moment. I know it's a little dense language, but I just want to go through it here. It explains how mental fixation becomes existential bondage. In a Vedantic context, this verse also indicates how the jiva, by identifying with fleeting phenomena, perpetuates the sansar, the cycle of birth and death. So these two paragraphs I want to examine today in today's satsang. Shri Krishnaya Namaha. So first of all, let's look at that first line. This verse is it's a precise psychological map of entanglement. How amazing is that? Bhagavan Krishna in these two verses has shown exactly the sequence of how the Jivatma gets bound, entangled, trapped. Bhagavan Krishna delineates, meaning he explains, he shows a progressive degradation. What is it that is being degraded, damaged? The buddhi. Buddhi ka nash hota hai. Buddhi is progressively damaged. You can see the progressive damage in this sequence here. Sangasteshu pajayate. This sangasteshu pajayate, that is the beginning, the glue of psychological bondage, when we mistake the object for the source of happiness. The object is not the source of happiness. The object is a trigger to the temporary experience of the object itself that it provides, which is on the continuum of sensory domain. Let me explain that a bit here. I just want to go into that a little bit more. For example, I have an apple in my hand, and I put the apple in my mouth and I chew the apple. I can smell it, I can taste it, there's a certain flavor to it. You have all these 10, 15 different types of apples are there. Those granny apples, and there's all kinds of them. There's so many different kinds, right? Those Asian pear, this guy pear and apple combined, and so many things are there. Everyone has its own experience. So it's on a range. The apple is not the source of ananda. The experience of the object has its own sensory domain, but it's a limited experience. Okay, it is a experience that we cannot call that experience ananda. We can call that experience sukha. बहुत ध्यान में रखना है इस point. This is the beginning of this sequence that Bhagavan Krishna is showing us. Sukh और आनंद में बहुत फर्क है. These two words are not, sometimes they're used synonymously, but they're not the same by any standard. Sukh and dukh are a pendulum. They are on the same continuum. The same sukha will become dukkha if it is overstimulated. I have one apple, I enjoy it. I have 2 apples, okay. 3 apples, I'm getting sick. 4 apples, I'm going to vomit. That means that just going behind that sukham that was present in the very first bite is not going to open up continuous uninterrupted joy, which is ananda. The definition of ananda means continuous, sustained, uninterrupted joy. I'm using the word joy because that's probably the best parallel word in English. And we use the word akhanda ananda to further exemplify this point. Many saints are given that name, Akhandanand Swami. Bhagwan Swaminarayan ke sant the. Many others might be named also. Sannyasi jo hote hai, they have these kinds of names. Understand this. Let's be very absolutely clear on this point. That the objects, all 5 of them, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Isn't it so? This is called Panchvishay. This is from our 5 senses. What do they give us? They give us anubhav, experience of the material world. Bhautik jagat ka anubhav deta hai. ठीक है? This is why the senses exist. But that experience is always having a beginning and an end. Point number 1. That experience is limited. Point number 2. That experience has its own qualitative sense to it. That is called qualia in philosophy of mind. Point number 3. An apple, a red apple is going to be different from a green apple. Even if you have the same apples in the same category, they all taste different sometimes because of sugar content and all. Everything has its own qualitative experience. Like for example, in classical music, Rag Bhupali is going to sound different from Rag Bhairav. Rag Bhairavi is different from Rag Bhimpalasi, right? These are ragas in the Hindustani classical music. Every experience has its own qualitative reality, and it has its own uniqueness. This is actually the grace and the great play of Maya. Just the sangas teshu pajayate, we could spend the rest of the year talking about this. Maybe more. It's absolutely phenomenal. Tremendous to understand the play of Maya. But in short, because we don't have 1,000 hours here, we have to do it in short. it's truly remarkable. क्या power है गीता का? इसके वो ग्रंथ के हम करोड़ों करोड़ों दंडवत करेंगे, प्रणाम करेंगे तो भी कम है, प्रदक्षिणा करेंगे. We cannot, it's God's words. कोई मनुष्य, human being is not created that. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. We can see its power. We can see the truth that is inside. So the experience, each Jivatma is given through the body-mind complex, irrespective of the body. Could be any body. It's tree body, an animal body, squirrel body, elephant body, whatever. Devta ka bhi sharir hai, manushya ka sharir hai, pashu pakshi ka sharir hai. So many kinds of bodies are there. But the Atma Tattva Chaitanyam, everyone has Atma Tattva Chaitanyam. That Chaitanyam, that Atman, that is Ananda. The experience of the objects is a restricted experience. But the attachment process for the Jivatma, it mistakes that experience from the object for Ananda. This is what Shankaracharya ji is teaching in Advaita Vedanta. It is a superimposition, thoda technical language hai wo, to superimpose. I won't go into that right now. But we can understand it in a simpler way. We are mistaking that Sukha for Ananda simply because we have not realized Ananda. Realization. We say self-realization. Atma ka anubhav. Atma ki sthiti. These are the words that are used. It is realization, not just verbal language or intellectual analysis. No, that is good. It has importance. But its importance is only to the extent that we can realize. Realization of Brahma Tattva, kya baat hai wo? So on this point, Bhagavan Krishna in these two verses is showing the degradation. Right? What we are trying to do in satsanga throughout the world. I'm talking about satsanga. I'm not talking about just what we're doing here. I'm talking about the worldwide, the entire, it doesn't matter which religion or tradition, anybody going towards satyam with any path, in any tradition, and the sangha, meaning people who are going in that direction. These two verses are what? They are the opposite of that direction. Satya ka jo marg hai or asatya ka jo marg hai. There are two different paths. So the path towards satyam param dhimahi. Bhagavad mein likha hai, Srimad Bhagavad, this verse. To decide, it's a decision, because buddhi, as in human form, we have the capacity to decide. And it's a day-to-day evolution. It's not the snap of the finger. It does take time. It's not something instantaneous. It takes patience. Bhagwan Krishna swayam kehte hai, iska abhyas karna. Bhagwan Krishna gives two big medicines to this entire problem of this entangled attachment. Abhyas and Vairagya. Because Sri Krishna is asked by Arjun, "Hey Prabhu, mera man ati chanchal hai, chanchal hi mana Krishna." My mind is just jumping. People say monkey mind and all that. Okay, true. But it requires study. It requires examination, reflection on what's happening in day-to-day experience. And then what to do with that experience. An apple is an apple, a banana is a banana, whatever object is there, it's there. Keep it at its level of experience. And don't run after the experience, because that would be ajnana. Jnani or agyani mein kya farak hai? If Shankaracharya ji is sitting next to Sachin, like actually sitting on the chair next to me on the left, and on the right, Bhagwan Krishna is sitting, and I'm sitting in the middle here. And we all have a red apple in our hand. And all three of us are chewing into the apple. What is the difference? Farak kya hai? Anubhav nahi sabko hota? The same experience. Ramakrishna Paramahansa is there on the table also. Try to do this kind of exercise. You can do it. You can do this kind of fun exercise. Invite a couple of friends and then invite these great saints. Paramans Yoganand, Ramakrishna Paramans, Aurobindo, Jesus, Guru Nanak. Get some small pictures and invite them to the kitchen table for tea. And put the tea or put whatever you want to put, some apples or prasad, I said, you're our friends. What is it that they're experiencing? It's a simple sadhana. Unka kya anubhav hai? If Bhagwan Krishna or Ramakrishna Paramans or great saints, they are holding an apple and they're eating the apple, and Sachin holds the apple and eats the apple. What's the difference? The difference is that they can interact with it without getting bound in the experience. The experience is the same, but the experience is also extraordinarily different. At one level, the experience of the apple is the apple, the redness of the apple, the taste of the apple. But what does Sachin do? Sachin says, this is so nice. Well, doesn't Shankaracharya ji say, this is so nice? Doesn't he say that? But what does he say instead? What is his unka anubhav kya hai? Because he is already in the Atmic consciousness, Brahmic consciousness. You know what it's like for enlightened state? It's like this. If you are, like Bill Gates, right? $100 billion. And somebody says, Bill, I'm giving you, a little small piece of Cadbury chocolate. Its cost is only 25 cents. You have it. ठीक है. He can enjoy. I mean, he's not going to throw that and reject it. But his enjoyment, is it coming from the piece of chocolate? Now, if you have a homeless person who has nothing, not even 25 cents, and you give that person a piece of chocolate, that person be so grateful and so happy. And I've seen that actually. This exact thing. The chocolate is the same. What is the difference? I'm using this example. I mean, I don't mean to make this about money. It's not about that. It's a state of mind example, kind of, or state of realization. Bill Gates or somebody who has $100 billion, if you have somebody is giving you a 25 or you're eating a 25 cent piece of chocolate, इसका आनंद कितना है? इस चॉकलेट का आनंद है कि नेचुरल स्थिति क्या है? इसका आनंद है. People, this happens in life. People who are very wealthy, usually if their mind is stable and all that, from small objects they experience intense joy, intense pleasure. It's not from the object; it's from their bank account. If you take that bank account away, they'll be completely lost. That's what will happen. Even if some change happens here and there, बहुत disturbance हो जाता है. ये स्थिति नहीं है, परिस्थिति है, खराब स्थिति है वो. You see, you get disturbed inside. You see, but that's a financial thing. It's an example easy to understand. But the example of Shankaracharya ji is about the Atma. जिसको आत्मा का अनुभव हो गया है. Objects, any objects at any level. You could put Shankaracharya ji in a big sihasan and worship him, or you could throw dirt and dust on him. And I mean, I hate to say that, but somebody who उनका अपमान करते हैं, द्वेष करते हैं, और उनकी पूजा करते हैं, उनको सब समान है. He's not rejecting the experience. अनुभव तो है. Small experiences. But this is what the Gita is really taking us towards, this kind of state. It's very difficult to even imagine this. We are so agitated as human beings by even the smallest changes in our life. इतना agitation होता है. इसीलिए साधना करनी चाहिए. भगवान में मन लगाना चाहिए. Mind will become strong. Buddhi will become strong. Antakaran becomes strong. It's like the strength. I mean, again, it's just an analogy. Like the $100 billion. कितना strength है इसमें? Even if thousands and thousands of dollars come and go, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Somebody said to Bill Gates, that if a $10,000 bill is on the floor, that it is a waste of your time to try to pick that up. Is that true? Because yes, I mean, even to spend that much time is like wasting time. He said, no, that is not actually true. But I mean, kya farak? I mean, it's like you're in the ocean of nectar and somebody gives a small drop of water. ऐसी बात है. Ramakrishna Paramahansa has written this kind of language, spoken this type of language. ये एक स्थिति की बात है. ये महामानव की बात है, महा अलौकिक स्थिति की बात है. And Bhagavad Gita is about that. It's about realizing that state where हमारा अपमान भी हो जाए, हमारी पूजा भी हो जाए, कुछ भी हो जाए. No difference. स्थित प्रज्ञस्य का भाषा. तुल्य निंदा स्तुतिर मौनी संतुष्ट ये न. It's nice to speak the verses. You know, भगवान की दया है. We can say a few verses here and there. That's good. It's good to say them. Good to learn them. But there's a state beyond, to pray to the Lord, to make them live inside. The Bhagavad Gita has to come inside and open from inside. That is where the Gita is. That is where Radha and Krishna are. The Murti to hai Bhagwan ki. That is important. That is extremely important. Shastra bhi hai, Murti bhi hai, Mantra bhi hai. But is it sitting inside of us? Or is it just coming in one ear, going out the other? That is the question. So let's stop here. I want to go into this next. I don't know how. Whatever Bhagwan takes me in this. ये तो बात ऐसी है ना. इसका कोई अंत ही नहीं. Just that those two paragraphs are so fantastic. I would just like to speak for hours on that. But maybe we'll do some special recording. Bhagavad Ichha. Let's stop here for now. Om Divalingaya Namah, Urdhvalingaya Namah, Anandalingaya Namah, Dwadash Jyotirlingaya Namo Namah, Om Trambakam Yajamahe, Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam, Urvarukamiva Bandhanan, Mrityar Mukshyamamritat, Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche. Om Durge Durge Rakshini. Tha Tha Swaha. Om Shri Durga Arpanamastu. Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu. Sri Krishnaya Namaha.